What the heck is up, fellas? Welcome back to the channel. The worms in my head, they're telling me it's time to get bigger. So we got Thursday push day today, or at least it's kind of a push day. If you're curious what the current split is, it goes Monday upper, Tuesday lower, Wednesday rest, Thursday push, Friday legs, Saturday pull. So kind of a normal rearranged, but a PPL rest, upper lower rest. More specifically on the strength side of things, Tuesday's the big axial loading, heavy squats, heavy deadlifts type of day. And then Friday legs is more the squat and deadlift accessories, just whatever bits and pieces I feel at that time I need to make my squats and deadlifts feel better, or just to hypertrophy the primary movers. And then Monday, when we were doing like the big push pressing and the big strict pressing, that was the heavy overhead day. And then today, Thursday, was the more voluminous pressing day. And then just running Saturday as a true back day, a true pull day. Because that's something that I really never did in my career. I've always been very kind of powerlifting oriented-ish, where everything was squat, bench, deadlift, overhead press. And all the pulling work was just a means to an end to supplement those. And so I always wanted to keep my bench press frequency higher, or my dip frequency higher, my overhead press frequency higher. So I never had room to run a true pull day. So right now I've got the time. I'm not in prep for any contests. I'm running a day where the dedicated goal is just progressing a vertical pull, a horizontal pull, a single arm pull, a pullover, and some curling movements. And it's been yielding me great results, because just based on training history, not based on genetics or anything, but based on training history, that which is prioritized is what gets better. And I've never had sessions where the upper back was the priority. So that's kind of filling in a big gap in my physicality, helps the squat, helps the deadlift. Very good for a lot of strongman events. Really enjoying that as a little bit of a side project this off season. But today we've got a bit of a press day mixed bag. We got pause dips, 2 work sets, incline Smith press, 2 work sets. Normally, if I was just running a very, very vanilla push day here, I would run 2 shoulder movements. So like a Y raise, maybe an IYT raise and a lateral, and then I would run 2 tricep movements. And then I always finish the push day with some wrist extension. It just feels like a really smooth place to put it, as I do my wrist extensions at the end of my push days, and I do my wrist curls at the end of my pull days. Today, it's a little bit different because I do want to do some very light submaximal pull downs, and that goes in place of one of the shoulder exercises. Not heavy enough, not close enough to failure that I find it's particularly good for growing my back. That kind of stuff gets pushed to the actual pull day. It's a lot more like shoulder health, just max range pull downs, touch the chest, get a full reach. It almost functions more as skill practice for my scapular control on my bench. I always found that these like easy peasy kind of mailed in lat pull downs were really helpful to my bench. And it was always difficult for me to describe why, because if people are like, it doesn't seem heavy enough, doesn't seem close enough to failure to be this really good hypertrophy stimulus. I'm like, it's not. I do heavy pull-ups if I want like a more hypertrophy, or I do something else, right? Could be heavy pull downs. If I want like a better hypertrophy stimulus for a vertical pull. This is just something I do to like kind of even out the pressing, right? Like Charles Poliquin used to talk about like push to pull ratio and structural symmetry. And I don't think you need any specific ratio of pushing to pulling volume, but I like including that little bit of light pulling on my push day. Not only for shoulder health, because my shoulders are pretty healthy. I've done a lot of investments into the shoulder health bank account, that they're pretty resilient nowadays, but because it keeps me feeling really good about like my scapular control, like being able to retract and depress, but not over retract. So we still get a little bit of scapular movement during the press. I don't know, it just keeps me feeling really synced up with my presses and feeling powerful. All right, first move for the day, we got the pause dips, running kind of 2 sets of 8 to 12-ish. Last week I want to say I did 2 plates for the first set, and then 2 plates and a 10 for the second set. So we're topping out the rep range, green light to go up. It's a new movement, and when you've got a new movement in your routine, you've got this like ultimate time of flexibility where you could run low reps, you could run high, fucking everything's gonna work. You could train not that close to failure, you could train to failure. Everything's gonna work. It's really just a matter of kind of settling into how you like it. Use that time to experiment, find what feels like it's fitting your body pretty well, and build up some good momentum on it. We're just running 2 sets of 8 to 12 here. Could build out to 3-4 sets eventually once my body's a little bit more acclimated to dips. Maybe it's a little harder to get stronger. But right now, we're getting stronger really fast because it's a novel movement. So we're just running 2 sets on Monday and 2 sets today as far as dipping movements go. Gonna do 2.5 plates. I think I should be able to knock out 12 there, and I'll be able to go up a little bit, and that'll give me the green light for next week's set to go up as well. So keen to get after these. Been warming up with just a couple of sets of 6 body weight, just grease the groove, grease the groove. Sometimes, this is, real quick, this is something that I've gotten some flack for, and I do not take it back at all. Sometimes, especially when I'm establishing a new movement or I'm really trying to get a movement smoothed out, specifically on pressing work, I will go through a phase where I build in more and more junk volume to the warm-ups, where I'll do 2 sets of 6. And then the first warm-up is 2 sets of 7 at body weight. And that might get to the point where I do like, maybe not full lockouts, kind of quick bang them out style, but I'll do 2 sets of 20. And then with the plate, I do 5, 6, 7. I'll build up some junk reps. And then once we start getting really heavy on the main work, I start stripping that out. But one man's junk volume is another man's greasing the groove. I think it all depends on if you come at things from a pure hypertrophy perspective, it's kind of junk. It's kind of like, oh, you're just taking away from the quality of your work sets. But if you come at things from a sport and a movement perspective, suddenly that becomes greasing the groove and getting really smooth at that small scapular movement, whether that's the small scapular movement of kind of shrugging and pulling that thumb towards your armpit, drive down and away, really take that pec to a shortened position. Whether that's that little groove of a really good bench presser and keeping your bar path really refined, it becomes greasing the groove. And there have been lots of great bench pressers, both on the tested and the untested side. Right? On the tested side, you got the Japanese, several of the Japanese great bench pressers, a couple of the Northern European great bench pressers, and then on the untested side, a lot of the big American super heavyweight bench pressers who are bench only guys are big on these really, really high rep sets, where I think a lot of the value in that is that it's greasing the groove. So I will go through periods of like putting in a bunch of like little mid-range reps in my warm-ups, and then when things start getting really challenging, I strip those away. Not necessarily a part of like the permanently part of the method, but it's not something I'm afraid to do.
Yeah! It's going down! Y'all know what time it is. Lil Jon! 3-6 Mafia! What the world been waiting on, man? It's going down! We gon' let you know how we make it come! Hey! Goose got me loose! Yo, no control! Money in my pocket and I'm all up in this zone line! Ooh, I'ma act a damn fool, yeah! Ooh, I'm about to act a fool, yeah! Goose got me loose! Yo, no control! Money in my pocket and I'm all up in this zone line! Ooh, I'ma act a damn fool, yeah! Ooh, I'm about to act a fool, yeah! I'm drunk tonight! Just got paid! Pocket full of money! What? Okay! I'ma ball till I fall! What? Drink till I can't! Put it on my black card! I got money in the bank! Patrol on the table! Yeah! Broke and goose! Oh! Drink what you want! Don't get loose! Ooh! Act a fool till they cut the lights on! And we still ain't going home till all the liquor gone! Yeah! I just don't give a ooh! Standing on the table with the weed bottle! Drinking out the bottle! Motherfucker, come! I'll pour it in your mouth, lean back, open up! Crunk ain't dead, you see the chain, and I'm the king, fool, you know my name. Party like a rock star, oh, like a porn star. I don't give a damn, I don't got the whole bar. Goose got me loose, yo, no control. Money in my pocket and I'm all up in this zone line. Ooh, I'ma act a damn fool, yeah. Ooh, I'm about to act a fool, yeah. Goose got me loose, yo, no control. Money in my pocket and I'm all up in this zone line. Ooh, I'ma act a damn fool, yeah. Ooh, I'm about to act a fool, yeah. Yes, sir. A new round tonight. I got my money looking right, but I ain't trying to fight. But if a sucker touch me, best believe it's on. Get cracked, crush your dome with a bottle of Patron. Right here, right now, quick, fast, in a hurry. Hit the sucker so hard, I made his vision get blurry. I'm too clean for this, I'm too lean for this. Figure it would happen, so I brought my team for this.
Yeah, I'm the realest player, trap star, selling the biggest bricks. I'm the realest player, rap bar, smoking purplish. Step off in the club, I got love, cause I'm rich. Your girl between my legs, do me up like I'm licorice. 25 stacks at the bar, ice on my wrist. Step up to this pimp and get your braided hair split.
Give me a recommendation on liquid chalk brands there, fellas. they don't seem to make the one I've used my whole training career anymore. So I'm in the market for some new liquid chalk. Max is a big regular chalk guy. I'm a big liquid chalk guy. I used to get the clear one to sneak into the YMCA because the bars were slippery and chalk was banned. And I think ever since then, I've just liked it. It's a good ritual. I almost like it more than the regular chalk nowadays. I know like grip specialists will use a bit of both because they got the alcohol in the liquid chalk to dry off your hands, and then you could put a little bit of real chalk on the outside. I'm a liquid chalk guy. I think it's cool. Give me a brand rec. All right, I'm only gonna film one of these because they're quite boring. It's 5 sets across, and it's kind of on guide rails for a progression. It's adding 1 rep per set for a while, then we move up to the next one, and then when that starts to get hard, it'll be adding not 1 rep to all of the sets, but adding 1 rep to 1 set at a time, just for a very slow guide rails progression. Not really aggressively logbooking these because they're very much just an adjunct. I'm not even benching right now, but to my bench training. So we'll just talk about what I'm looking for when I do these. I wish I could, if I was a little bit less stiff, you could see what I'm talking about in the demonstration a little bit more, but the head stays behind the weight. We don't push through on these like we would with some vertical pulling stuff. Head stays behind, so we reach as high as we can while the head stays behind. And basically you imagine you're shrugging to try to touch as high up as you can while keeping your torso behind. And then we focus on, we don't rock back from the hips. Like if this is our legs and this is our torso, we don't lean our whole torso back. Instead, we try to practice arching from up, not in the lumbar, but up in the thoracic, trying to meet the bar halfway with the sternum, just like we do on our bench presses. So it kind of doubles as skill practice. Look for it like a touch. Kind of call these max ROM pull downs because we look for the highest reach we can get, and we always look for a touch on the chest. So that's the kind of gist of it. We'll see how shitty they look when I do them. When I was a smaller, lighter guy, these looked pretty crisp and you could really see what I was going for with them. Not sure if that's the case anymore. So head stays behind. So, very easy. These can be included as an adjunct towards the end of your pressing days, just to practice that. Sometimes I'll use these as actually, I'll just superset my bench warm-ups with these. When I'm not going super heavy on the bench, I'm just trying to accumulate volume over there, I'll just bounce back and forth through 5 of my warm-ups, get these checked off. Sometimes I use them as a break between, let's say I'm doing bench, I'll do these to give my pecs a little bit of rest, and then I'll go into my dumbbell bench or into my dips. But I include these generally on my pressing days, but if you wanted to put them on a pull day, you could do your heavier, let's say your heavy weighted chins, where we're just trying to get the chin above the bar, much more move weight style, and we could use these as like 3 or 4 sets across as back off work to those heavy chins. They're a good adjunct, though I think they're not necessarily the best way to grow your lats. Big open, kind of open chain here. I know a lot of people have been talking about keeping the stack a little bit more and bracing for back work, and I get that from a pure hypertrophy perspective for developing the back, but these double as skill work for the bench press, which is still done from some amount of extension.
Brains blow out, peanut butter, riding high, staying high, I'm talking like a stutter. Goose got me loose, yo, no control. Money in my pocket and I'm all up in this zone line. Ooh, I'ma act a damn fool, yeah. Ooh, I'm about to act a fool, yeah. Goose got me loose, yo, no control. Money in my pocket and I'm all up in this zone line. Ooh, I'ma act a damn fool, yeah. Ooh, I'm about to act a fool, yeah. Drunk ass motherfucker,
what's up, fellas? Protein shake has been downed. Got to hit that anabolic window. Ate a banana and then just a little bit of the old trademark Lucky Charms in my super cool Hello Kitty bowl. Big shout out to my OG, Freaky D, for putting me onto the cereal and kind of breaking me out of the like really traditional clean foods rut and how I was thinking. Because I'm a big fan of clean foods, especially because generally they're going to digest better. And when you're eating large quantities like myself, in the long run, that makes you feel a hell of a lot better. Usual shilling about micros aside. When I was pushing my body weight up for the 600 bench, I was struggling to get enough food down. And Dennis was like, hey man, what about cereal? It is fortified with micronutrients, but more importantly, it does digest, even though it's outside that kind of clean whole food category, it tends to digest quite easily for most people as a simple carb. And I gave it a go. Lo and behold, the OG was right. And that's kind of been something I added to my arsenal. I'm actually slightly, I want to get just slightly leaner than I am right now. I don't have any intention of getting like super lean right now because I'm kind of getting ready for that 800 squat, because squat definitely rewards being a little bit thicker. But I would like to be a little bit more lean than I am right now. So what I did is I pulled a little bit of carbs away from my rest days, added a little bit more carbs to my training days, such that the net balance is still down a little bit, but I can have a little bit more carbs on my training days. And a lot of that's going in this little post-workout meal. And I'm feeling a lot better fueled, and I feel like I'm recovering a lot better while my body weight continues to taper down a little bit. So I'm stoked about that. Workout was fucking sick. Pause dips went great. I'm rushing those sets a little bit, but like I said, we're kind of in that that zone of a new exercise. You can kind of get away with whatever. We'll probably tighten those up as we go. And once they start plateauing, we'll turn a little smarter, whatever the fuck. But easy logbook chips, easy improvements from last week. +2 from last week on my low incline presses. I kind of wanted to run like that's a 30-degree incline Smith press. Kind of want to run 15 because John Meadows used to always talk about when you're trying to grow your chest, slight angles feel fantastic. A slight decline and a slight incline is all you need to kind of bias towards upper and lower fibers, and they feel great. But we're running the 30-degree. That was +2 from last week, which is good because we're back up to the numbers we were hitting before. Before I added in the dips, adding in that little bit of chest pre-fatigue, dropped my numbers back on those. Of course, I did chest exercise before when I was doing more vertical pressing before that. Chest pre-fatigue, whatever. Didn't freak out at all. You got to be able to contextualize. Being a logbook fiend is good, but so many guys get so neurotic and freak out. Like, I didn't get +1. It's just a general ballpark for what's going to be a good set. Jesus Christ, don't cry about not getting your +1. As good as a feeling as it is, throwing a little temper tantrum when you don't get it is not, like, especially when you have such an obvious reason of like, I slept like shit last night. I'm happy I got in a good session. Ooh, I added a fucking chest exercise right beforehand. I'm happy I still put in a good set. So we're getting acclimated to that little bit more sets for chest. Those were up. Pecs are still getting used to the increase in working sets, so I elected for a higher rep back off. When normally I would do kind of 2 sets in that 6 to 10 range, I would just take that top set for a second heavy set. I think that's a little bit more efficient way to train. If I was gonna fall outside my target rep range, I would probably drop 20 off of it, but we dropped down quite a bit and did a higher rep target. I just like mixing those in there. They feel nice. Big pump, not that that's the most important thing in the world. Pull downs were boring and dumb and very effective for what I used them for. Forgot to film my lateral raises. Just imagine me doing like 3 grindy sets of heavy cable laterals like everybody does nowadays. You can use your imagination there. Then we did 2 sets rope press downs, which I've been running for a little bit. Those feel fantastic. I like that they're very hard near the lockout. They feel very applicable to my pressing. Usually I use like I usually use the straight bar for press downs, but we're running a different variation. The exercise slot is gonna be a press down for me. I've just gotten really good at connecting with my triceps on those. They've been a staple for driving my bench press up for literally 10 years now, but I'll change the handle. I'll go single arm sometimes for just keeping things moving, giving the body different looks. And then I've been doing single arm cable tricep overhead extensions. That's a mouthful, because I can do my whole stack on a regular like 2-armed overhead extension with the rope. So I was like, all right, I guess I got to go single arm. And those have been okay. I don't love them. I don't hate them. So I tried doing like kind of a behind the head skull crusher in the Smith, and just that pronated grip paired with my kind of suspect mobility. I couldn't keep my elbows tucked in as much. I didn't like those. We're going to switch those next week. I wanted to have like something I could really load up in heavy in that stretch position. Like if I had dumbbells, I'd be doing like a 45-degree kind of rolling tricep extension. If I had room, I might like lean back on a great exercise for you. Preacher bench, easy bar, kind of narrow grip, lean back on it so you're at a high incline, really reach behind the head, keep those elbows in, don't just push them out, keep them in, get a full stretch on that long head. Those feel fantastic. But we probably are gonna go back to those cable overhead extensions. They feel dinky, they feel kind of dorky to me, but they're working well. I can get myself into good positions. If I was doing the session in town, I'd probably find something else. And then we did some wrist extensions, as we talked about. I like to include those on my pressing days because I almost feel like it just finishes out that chain. Like we start from the center and we go out. We get big like chest pump. We get like pump up the shoulders, get those exhausted, triceps. And the kind of last part of that finishing a press is I press with my wrists back. So the last part of finishing that press is keeping my wrists slightly pulled back manually. So it makes sense to like, that's one chain. And then on the pull day on Saturday, we do the other chain. We start with like all these upper back and lat movements, these back movements, these pullovers, then we move out the chain a little bit and we do maybe our biceps and our brachialis work. And then we end with some kind of like wrist curl, wrist cupping type exercise because that kind of completes this chain of pulling something in, pushing something away. Does that shit matter? No, but I think it's like aesthetic and that gets me fired up to do it in that order. All right, that's all I got for you. Thank you to the Patreon guys. Been doing weekly Q&As and shit over there. I'm supposed to plug that. It's in the description. Thank you for your support.